Hey, what's up, guys? Mike's here. So I'm at the college right now. This is the actual college that I'm going to. So I have ECC right here. So today I'm gonna to read you guys chapter 2 while I'm in here in the session here. But don't worry, it it gets too loud when I have to hear me reading this thing because you know it's gonna be it's really difficult when you and I read something while you're in public like this. But this is the first time that I'm going to do this. So I'm gonna have to read certain sessions right here for chapter 2 of this. So chapter 2, that one is called The Arts We Made. And basically, they're in some kind of a college class right here, and this is a very important thing when you have this whole class. This is about this class, but it's not the actual thing. But I'm not gonna show you the whole college because it's against the rules. So let's get started reading chapter 2 and pick up where we left off, and hopefully you understand the story of right now we're at the part where Keith and Lance, they're on the public speaking, and Keith writes down the scratchbook, and somehow this person mess around everything, spill over the smoothies and notebooks and drop all the pencils down. It sucks for Keith. Now they're in the class or something like that. But yeah, let's get to it and start reading it. Sure. Chapter 2. Bring Us Together. Lance, put your damn shoes back on, Pidge says. They're standing next to him, one hand on their hip and the other holding up their phone as they look through it. But Pidge, Lance whines from his seat on the small grass hill that sloped up toward the student union. He throws himself backwards, sprawling out on his back with his arms splayed out above his head, with one foot digging into the ground. He lifts his hips up and points the shoes of his other foot. He gets his leg as high into the air as he can and bends it as close to Pidge's face as he can reach. Given the length of his legs and Pidge's short stature, it's not that bad, it's him. Pidge, look at it! Pidge makes a face and slaps his foot away without looking up from their phone. Yes, I've seen your feet. We've all seen your feet. Now put your damn shoes on. He throws both feet up, legs straight and toes pointed, and throws his arms down, slamming his fist on the ground by his hips. No! Don't be a child. My feet are a massive piece right now. It'll be a crime to cover them up. A downright crime. And his feet are, in his opinion, a masterpiece. Though it has a little to do with his feet, and more to do with the soul mark paintings that decorate them. Rich browns that blend with his skin tone cover the bottoms of his feet and his toes, giving way to ropes of entangles of vines in several shades of green and yellow. They crawl up the tops of his feet to twine around his ankles, dotted with half-bloomed flower buds of white and red purple. On the outer bone of the right ankle is a single fully bloomed flower. Petals unfurl and curl along his skin. It happened yesterday, around 8 o'clock. He and the hunk had been having roomy movie night, which Pidge crashed, per usual, as their unofficial roommates. They live in the same dorm building, 2 floors up. It's the brand new honors dorm. Although Lance isn't an honors student, he got in as Hunk's roommate. Lance had been sitting on one of their large beanbag chairs, popcorn bowl nestled in his lap, when he had left the telltale tingling of a phantom brush across his skin. He had wasted no time stripping off his socks and propping his feet up so he could watch his soulmate work. He wasn't sure that what emotions to be expecting, not after he had heard nothing but sounds from his SM, after the chaotic anxiousness of his fire slate. He had held his breath, waiting with tight anticipation as the beginnings of another's emotions trickled through him. They had surprisingly been peaceful in content and oddly serene. Not that his soulmate has never been happy or at ease before, but it was such a quick turnaround from the previous feelings he had gotten from them. He gestured whatever had been anxious had gone well. Lance had found himself unable to contain his grin as he sat there, wiggling his toes and his feet as the warm contentment slid through him, wrapping him up in a cocoon of tranquility. What up, Lance? Hunk had asked, eyeing him from his seat at his desk. Lance had hung, holding a foot in the air so Hunk could see the collar spreading across the skin. They're happy, he said simply, and Hunk had given him a soft, knowing smile. Even Pidge had leaned closer from their nest in the other bean bag to watch the design spread up his foot to wrap around his ankle. Lance had practically glowed with pride, and at the look of awe on his friend's face. It wasn't often they got to witness his Asim's work in action. God, he's so damn proud of his soulmate. When they had finished being team, and the foreign feelings had faded, slipping out of his chest and leaving an echo of his own happiness in their wake, he had reached for a pen, and per his usual routine, he scribbled a few words across the inside of his wrist. Looking at his feet now, in the afternoon light and seeing all the colors really come to life, he wonders if his soulmate has ticklish feet. If they do, then they suffer a lot for their art. If they don't, well, that's just not fair. Lance, Hunt says from Pidge's other side. He's standing with his hands on his hips, surveying the squad. They're all there early, about 40 minutes before practice is set to start, but Pidge and Hunk want to make sure they have time to set up before everyone shows up. Something about making a good impression and making everyone think they're on top of these things. Your feet are beautiful. Your soulmate is an artistic genius. Their newest creation is amazing. Now, would you please put your shoes on? Lance crosses his arms over his chest, sticking his lip out in an exaggerated pout, but Hunk isn't looking at him. He watches as his best friend's face lights up with a bright smile as he points. There they are! Lance props himself up on his elbows to follow Hunk's gaze, and his face instantly refreshes. Cran! He says he can always count on Cran to earnestly praise his SM work. About time, Pidge grumbles, shoving their phone back in their pocket. We still need to make sure all the hoops are still functional, and the ball probably needed to be inflated. Help David never to wash the pennies and the headbands. Lance stops listening to Pidge rambling as he laps to his feet and starts off down the small hill and across the quad to where Corinne and Allura are making their way toward him. Corinne! Allura! He calls again. The two of them look up, grinning as they each lift a hand to wave. Allura's carrying a collection of PVC pipes and hoops in her arms and a ball bag slung over her shoulder. Corinne cradled an armful of plain, straight PVC pipes, and with a large backpack behind him. Their smiles falter when they realize Lance isn't stopping. He sees the moment Corinne realizes what's about to happen. The man's face drops and he hears him mutter a sob. Oh, drat! Before he unceremoniously drops his armload of PVC pipes. Lance isn't slow and, a little ungracefully, leaps at Corinne. He catches him just as Lance knew he would. He used to Lance's antics. They all are. He stumbles a bit, having to adjust his balance and bend his knees a bit to accommodate Lance's weight. Hello, you too, Lance, he says, a little surprised, but no less cheerful. I say, I miss you too. We just saw you yesterday at work. Lance, what are we doing? Laura says, a little bit of a sigh in her voice, but she smiled. They're both dressed for physical activity, and Allura's ridiculous mane is pulled back into a thick-ass bun. He's not sure how she does that. Magic, probably. How else can she pull all that back with only one hair tied? Look what my soulmate did, he announces without preamble, thrusting his foot out toward Allura. He's still held in Cran's arms, princess style, which is fine by him because no shame in being carried by a bro. Corinne and Allura both lean over, eyes drawn to a masterpiece tattooed across Lance's feet. They all make the appropriate sounds of awe and interest, and he grins, preening under the attention. This is what he's talking about. This is the kind of attention his SM deserves. It's very beautiful, Lance, Allura says. Impeccable work, as always. I'm particularly fond of the attention to detail in the shadows, of the vines. Lance grins. I know, right? And check out the flower. He twists his legs so they can see the pendles unfurling his ankle. Astounding, Grant says in a way that isn't the least bit condescending. He says it like he's looking over a piece of art in the museum, taking it all in, appreciating it, analyzing it. And Lance is a damn proud canvas for his Essam's work. It looks to be some sort of Asiatic lily, the cappuccino variety, if I'm not mistaken. Lance's smile fades, and he eyes him with one brow raised. How do you even know that? Corinne gives him a small, mysterious smile, eyes sparkling as they twinkle at the edges. You know, just picking things up here and there. Lance's eyes narrowly slightly. That sounds fake, but okay. Lyris rolls her eyes, adjusting the pose in her arms. Corinne is basically a walking encyclopedia. I doubt he ever forgets that any random fact he learns. Nope. Corinne says brightly, lifting his chin. I'm a damn fine addition to any trivia team. Lance gasps and throws a hand up in the air. Trivia Tuesdays! We should do it! Not to break up the party, but we gotta practice to get ready for it, Pidge says as they finally make it to where Lance has stopped. Corinne and Lyra's progress across the quad. Righto, Corinne says, before proceeding to drop Lance without a second thought. He yells, but manages to catch himself before falling onto the pile of PVC pipes at their feet. He glares at Corinne, but the man just grins back, hands on his hips. Lance, now that you've shown everyone, can you please put your shoes back on? Hunk says, coming up to stand next to him. This really isn't something you should do barefoot. Your feet could get stepped on, and half of us wear cleats. And I really don't want to have to take you to the hospital. What if you break your foot and have to walk around with crutches in a boot? Man, this campus is really hilly, and that would not be fun. What if Hunk, buddy, Dan says, cutting him up, his leaning arm around his shoulder. He gives him a confident smirk, one hand on his hip. It's no problem. I've totally played barefoot before. Hunk gives him a flat look and raises one finger. Yeah, but that was before we got more serious. When only like 7 people showed up and we couldn't even play a real scrimmage. Lance snorts grimly. Remember our first quaffle? The Explorer dodgeball? That one only lasted a semester, Pidge says, crossing their arms over their chests as they grin. After that, we had the blue Go Diego Go ball.
I didn't lie.
And our bludgers were different colors, Corinne adds, stroking his mustache, and a music glint to his eyes. And the yellow one was smaller than the others. I like the yellow one, Pidge says, holding up a hand and clenching open air. It fit my hands better. Remember our old hoops? Lyra asks. Lance throws back his head to laugh, leaning heavily on Hunk's arm. Oh man, how can you ever forget those janky things? The brooms inside, traffic cones with hula hoops, duct tape on. Hey, for beginners to nearly no money or idea what we were doing, that was genius engineering, Hunk says, grinning as he crosses his arms over his chest. We have so much time now that we don't have to use half of a roll of tape to get the hoop set up every time. Sometimes I miss the traffic cones, Corinne says whispering, tilting his head. Lyra nods. We were well known to them. It was very unique. Yeah, no one else thought of using traffic cones to hold the poles up, Lance says, holding up a fist for Hunk to bump. He does, of course, because Hunk is his bro. No one probably thought of it because traffic cones can be expensive, Lyra points out, giving Pidge a knowing look, lips quirking at the corners. Yeah, but not everyone has a Pidge, Lance says, and they all turn their gazes to the smallest member of their group. When one arm crosses over their chest, Pidge idly inspects the nails in one hand. They glance up, looking around to meet everyone's amused stares. Wait, it's not like we got caught? That's because Lance lifts his chin, putting a hand to his chest, am an amazing getaway driver. If I remember correctly, you were screaming the entire time. Pidge says, leaning forward to look up at him over the top of their glasses. Something about, Pidge, hurry up! Oh my god, we're going to get caught on the... Okay, I can't believe I had to say this in public. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to say this in public, but I gotta... Something about, Pidge, hurry up! Oh my god, we're going to get caught! Oh my god, get back in the car! How long does it take to grab a traffic cone anyway? And then a bunch of wordless screams as we drove away. Lance Proud's eyes narrow as he points at them. Hey, I don't sound like that. Sorry dude, but you did. Lance turns to glare to Hunk. Hunk, as my best friend and roommate, you're supposed to keep these things secret. It was there, dude. I wish we could have been, Laura says, chuckling. Sounds like a crazy night. Indeed, the highest of a century. Grant says, throwing up both hands and gesturing wildly as continues in his best announcer voice. Refreshment and I'll tell you university. Wreck habit in the night in their wild hit and run kidnapping of 6 helpless traffic cones. Coincidentally, Altea's first Quidditch club is started up within 3 weeks of the incident with 6 Quidditch hoops, utilizing traffic cones of unknown origins. Lance sighs, wistfully, crossing his arms over his chest and tilting his head to the side. That was a fun night. Lance's driving was so crazy that Hunk nearly puked, Pidge says, snickering at Lance's glare. Hunk always gets car sick, plus he was nervous. That's not my fault. I think I did good seeing as my lookout was leaning out the passenger window the whole time. But in my defense, Hunk says, holding up both hands, pointing both index fingers upward before pointing them at Lance and Pidge. I didn't actually end up puking that night. Crying on the other hand? Crying, I did. But it was a very stressful situation, and I had a lot of adrenaline, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Lance passes on. No shame, buddy. We even got away with it, despite someone taking forever to actually get each one. Pidge shrugs, adjusting their glasses and waving a hand vaguely. Those things are heavy and like half my size. Besides, like you said, we didn't get caught. Do you still have the first cone you stole? Laura asks, and Pidge grins. What, Rover? Of course I do. He's in my room right now. I can't get rid of Rover. Yeah, he's family, Hunk says. We got too much history, Lance adds. I'm surprised you didn't bring him, Grant says, looking to Pidge. You usually do to events like this. Pidge only shrugs, scratching their cheek. I thought it might be best to leave him in my dorm for now. You know, gotta make sure new kids don't think we're too weird right off the bat. Yeah, gotta keep some surprises for later. Lance steps to the side to throw an arm over Pidge's shoulders, pulling them to him and rubbing his knuckles in their air. All the weird in this tiny body is too much to unleash at once, Pidge grunts, slapping his hand away and pushing him off of them. Lance just laughs, letting them go. Pidge doesn't do much, just move down there. He's usually in disarray anyway. They glare at him. Speaking of weirdos, go put your damn shoes on. He crosses his arms over his chest, protesting more out of principle than anything else. Can't make me. Lance, Hunk sighs. I would hardly recommend it, Lance, Grant adds, but at least he has the decency to sound sympathetic. Well, why are you all ganging up on me? They're my feet. Lance, Laura says flatly, using her manager voice. When he looks at her, she's giving him the most amused look imaginable. It's one she uses a lot around him, and now that he's thinking about it. Go put your shoes on. Ugh. He throws his hands up in the air, turning on his heel and stumbling back to where he had left things. Fine, Mom. He sits on the hill and pulls his bag toward him, digging out his sock and cleats and shoving his normal shoes inside. Saying a silent farewell to the SM's art, he pulls on his knee-high, bright yellow socks. They're a great match to his official snitch, shorts and shirt, both of which are matching shade of bright-ass yellow. The shorts only go halfway down his thigh, and under them he's wearing black legging shorts that cut off a little lower, peeking out from beneath them. He's not ashamed of his legs, and he used to wear his knit shorts without leggings. Despite Ledge's loud and groans and protests, unfortunately, when the shorts are fairly loose and people are constantly grabbing at the snitch hanging off the back of his waistband, sometimes they grab his shorts, and sometimes they pull those shorts down, or at least far enough that parts of him can be exposed. That once happened at a tournament, and after the team got an eye for Lance's bare ass. No matter how great that ass is, he was forced to agree to wear secondary shorts under his knit shorts. Honestly, his outfit is obnoxiously loud as hell, and that's how snitches are supposed to be. And as the team's only official certified snitch, he wants to make a good first impression. On the flat part of the quad below, the others are starting to set up the hoops. It's a much easier process than it used to be. They just have to slide the poles into the base, adjust to make sure it's balanced, make sure the hoops aren't bent, and done. Simple, much easier than struggling with duct tape. When he's done tying his cleats, he jumps up and heads over to where the bags have been dropped in the middle of the field. He starts the process of pulling out the balls and making sure they were properly inflated, but still deflated just enough that they can get grip on them. They've upgraded since their days of using cheap Nordic Explorer dodgeballs. They now have proper red dodgeballs for bludges and natural volleyball for the quaffle, just like they're supposed to. They even have a spare set of snitch shorts for others who they want to try out snitching. Once he's done, he stands, palming the quaffle in his hands. The brooms are at his feet, and yeah, okay, they're not really brooms, but they serve the same function. Back when they started out, they all used actual brooms. It's kind of added to the whole atmosphere, and some people still bring their own brooms. Everyone has preferences, but the team has upgraded the PVC pipes, cut to the rulebook regulated length, and capped at the ends. No bristles, no hassle. Easy, lightweight, and just so much easier to work with an actual brooms. He picks one up and pulls his arm back. "Hey Hunk," he calls, catching his roommate's attention. He's standing near the hoops on one end of the field, talking with Cran. They both turn to look at him, and he launches the broom towards them. He thinks that getting the thing halfway to them after practically lobbing a stick from half field is pretty good. Neither Hunk nor Cran look impressed though. They look at the fallen broom, then back up to Lance. Identical curious looks on their faces. Lance chooses to ignore that. He holds up the pop, other hand resting on his hip as he cocks it to the side. "Let's go, buddy. You and me. Let's see how rusty you've gotten." Hunk laughs. "Ooh, you're on." He jogs forward a little to pick up the broom and backtracks to stand in front of the hoops. Broom held in his left hand between his legs and right hand up in the air. He smirks. Game fades on. You can always count on good old Hunk to goof off with him before practice starts. And by goof off, he actually means warm up. This can totally count as warm up for practice. It's legit. "Toss me a broom too, would you, Lance?" Cran calls, and Lance does just that, tossing him a bludger while he's at it. When the two of them are positioned in front of the hoops, Lance grabs a broom for himself and holds it between his legs with his left hand. Quaffle held at his side with his right. He's glad he has big enough hands that he can just palm the ball and keep a good grip on it. Poor Laura and Pidge have to resort to cradling it against them until they're ready to throw. Lance faces the two of them and smirks. "Ready or not, here I come." He takes off down the field, a filament burst of energy, sparking in his veins as he sprints on the balls of his feet. As awkward as running with a broom between his legs sounds, it's surprisingly easy, and not nearly as awkward as he had expected the first time he tried it. Now it's become second nature, and he barely feels it. It's really not much more than something to keep his left hand occupied, forcing him to play one-handed, and something to make him a bigger target to beaters. He slows as he nears the hoops, facing off against Gran as the other man steps forward, brandishing his bludger. Lance doesn't stop as Gran comes toward him, and they go through a series of stutter steps and feints before Grant actually throws his bludger. He does so with a loud "Hiya!" and a lunge thrown, almost like he might throw a bowling ball and aiming low for Lance's legs. He jumps automatically, spreading his legs wide and thrusting the cloth from his hand downward, deflecting the blood drip between his legs to bounce harmlessly on the ground behind him. Cran snaps, and Lance flashes him with a confident grin before turning his attention to Hunk. Hunk is hunched over, free arm held up and out as he tries to make himself as big as possible. He watches Lance warily, eyes flickering between his face and the ball. Lance flicks left, then steps right. Hunk is right there with him. When his hand shoots out to block edge hoop, Lance jumps, looping a shot at the taller center hoop. His face lights up and he lets out a victorious whoop. Then Hunk's hand changes direction and he easily snatches the ball right out of the air. "Oh, come on," Lance groans, shoulders slumping. "That was a perfect shot." Hunk laughs, straight. "Sorry, man, but you go for that shot like all the time. You're going to need new moves if you want to get past me." "I'm not that predictable. With your first shot of every practice? Yeah, you are. Just give me the ball. Let's go again." Hunk obligingly tosses him a quaffle, and Lance jogs back to the center of the designated pitch. They pass the time like that, warm up but mostly having fun. Lance and Cran face off, each trying to psych the other out with a variety of dramatic poses, moves, and sounds. He manages to hit Lance half the time, but Lance manages to dodge or deflect the other half. He swears he's mostly hit only because Cran cheats and makes him laugh. The times he doesn't get hit, he continues on to face off against Hunk. Now, Lance is a good chaser. A damn good chaser. Aside from Laura, he holds the record for the most points scored on the team. Yes, he's been keeping track. And most of Laura's points are earned through brilliant passes made by him anyway. The problem is simple. Hunk knows him too well, and Hunk can read him like a damn book, which makes facing off against him like this very hard, but very entertaining. He tries to put Hunk with the same antics that worked against Cran, but it has the same 50-50 result. "Come on, Hunk. 1v1 me, bro," once calls out after the 5th time in a row, but Cran has tagged him out on his way to the hoops. He holds his arms out wide as he issues his challenge, quaffle held in one hand and legs crossed to hold the broom up between his thighs. Hunk mirrors his stance, legs crossed and arms held out wide. "Come at me, bro. Step aside, Cran." Lance tries to wave him off, left hand on his broom, and bludger wedge in the crook of his left arm against his body. Cran twists the edges of his mustache with his free hand. He tilts his chin down, grinning up and lands. "No can do, my boy. A good defensive beater never leaves his keeper alone to defend the home soil." Ugh. Lance lets his head loll backwards dramatically as his arms sag into his sides. "Fine. But you asked for it. Get ready for the patented Lance McLean charge." The Lance McLean charge doesn't work. He tries to run the ball straight into the hoop, but he's tackled to the ground by Hunk. "Oh god, dude, get off of me," he says, but he's laughing as he pushes on Hunk, who's draped across his midsection. "No can do, man. You tried to attack my hoops. This is my revenge." Hunk doesn't budge. It's then, while Hunk is fighting off Lance pushes with his own hands, that Lance notices that marks on his forearm. His lips curl into a wide grin. "Aww. Did your soulmate wish you luck today? That's so cute. Is that a doodle of you by Quidditch hoops?" He coos, and Hunk's face drops, a flush creeping through his dark complexion. He slaps his hand over his forearm and sits up. "No. Maybe. Yes. I told her it was our first practice day." Now freed, Lance sits up, leaning forward to lean into Hunk's arm. "Adorable." Hunk shoves him, face smile. "Shut up, dude. Is that a heart on your neck?" Lance reaches up to poke at the spot where the mark looks tattooed into his skin. It's dark enough that it had to been recent. Hunk slaps his hand away and stands up, brushing off his legs. "I'm leaving." "Aw, come on, dude. Don't tell me you're embarrassed. Leaving. Hunk strides away, arms comically stiff at his sides. He refuses to look at Lance, but he knows he's blushing. Lance just grins after him. He thinks it's adorable that Hunk and his soulmate are the epitome of nauseatingly sweet, and Hunk knows it, but the big guy gets incredibly flustered whenever his SM's marks are pointed out. Usually it's Lance pointing them out, seeing as most people find it impolite to just go around pointing out soul marks, no matter how obvious they are. They're friends, and Lance is convinced that the main reason Hunk doesn't mind is because he knows Lance isn't actually making fun of him. Picking on him, yeah, but it's all in good fun. He knows that beneath it all. Lance is just envious that he doesn't have something like that with his own soulmate. If his soulmate is going to be stubbornly quiet until the day they met, he's just going to have to live out all his cute romantic fantasies vicariously through Hunk. Once they do meet, however, Hunk is gonna see who the real curious couple is. Lance leans back on his hands and stretches his legs out in front of him. Looking over the quad, people have started to gather, so he supposes it getting close to showtime. The members from last year are hanging around, talking to each other and messing with equipment like they had been doing. The new people are easy to spot. They're just hovering by the edges of the pitch, looking about as awkward as humanly possible. He's looking over them, trying to determine which ones he thinks will stay and which ones will give up, when he sees a face that he wishes isn't so familiar. Oh, great. What's he doing here? Lance says aloud, although it's mostly to himself. He's surprised when someone actually answers. Who are you speaking of? Lance jumps as Corinne comes to stand next to him, broom in one hand and bludger in the other. That guy! The one with the mullet, Lance says, pointing. Keith, aka the soul from his public speaking class, aka Mr. Better Than Everyone, aka Sir Holier Than Thou, aka Doctor Too Good to Accept Help, aka Captain Outdated Hair, aka Admiral Forever Scout, aka Sergeant Secret Notebook, aka He Who Really Needs Punch to the Teeth. That was a wholesome name right there. Gosh. Lance has spent a lot of time glaring at the back of his head and coming up with nicknames. Corinne follows his gesture, and his eyes narrow for a second before he brightens. He tries to snap his fingers, but it's an awkward attempt when his hands are full. Oh, that must be the old friend Pidge has been talking about. Lance straightens, head whipping around to look at him, not the king. What? Indeed. Look, and Lance follows his gesture, eyes finding Keith once again. Lance had been hoping that he would just pass by them entirely, just another student walking through the quad. But no. Not only has he walked straight toward the Quidditch pitch, but he's bypassed the obligatory awkward newbie area in order to head straight for Pidge. He watches in growing horror as Pidge grins, jogging over to give his arch nemesis a hug. A hug. Lance has never been more offended in his life. Pidge has been excited about him coming to this university for ages, Corinne saying, but Lance can barely hear him over the sound of sirens that are filling his head, leaving a ringing in his ears. They told me the other day that they had convinced him to attend our first practice. I, for one, am excited to finally meet the lad. The more the merrier, I say. What do you think, Lance? Lance opens his mouth, but the only thing that comes out is a strangled noise that sounds like a cross between a whine, a scream, and a groan. Okay. Alright, so far, guys, they're practicing the Quidditch practice where Lance, there's Hunk, Laura, and Corinne. I mean, basically just holding out the ball, and I don't know, I can't look up with Quidditch, but I might as well look up. It's kind of a little sports thing they have made for the volleyball or something like that, but and then when it comes out, when the key comes by, Lance just lose all of his cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up what the Quidditch is, and I'm gonna see you there. Okay, guys, so what's the goal for the game called Quidditch? It's It's based on the game in the movie for Harry Potter. It's basically you have there are three kind of certain balls they have to move. So it's a kind of a very traditional thing to play Quidditch. When it comes to play Quidditch, you have to have the quaffle in your volleyball. You have to throw that on the hoops. That would count as a point. The bludgers, the dodgeballs, they're trying to hit somebody with a bludger. I mean, hit somebody. Hit somebody with a bludger. That person holds out with a quaffle and try to avoid it, and then try to hit it and be out of the game or something like that. I'm not sure. And then you have the snitch, the tennis balls. I'm not sure. They required it. I think they required that for some reason. And then, you know, the brooms. The brooms are very important. You have to hold your, you have to hold the broom. You know how the broom works there? Yeah. I'm going to use this one as an example. So you have to hold the broom, put it right here, between your legs, just hold it out. And then the other hand will be the volleyball. It's going to be, and your, the quaffle, throw like a, make sure you hold your broom at all times. And that's what I got right now for this information so far. And I gonna have the players, and hopefully you see it. And there is some three certain types of there are some players too, and it's called. They have to have like certain types of things. If you know what, well, this is what the actual look like. Here, this is what it looks like. Yeah, and this is the actual thing here.
It's a Harry Potter inspired handball water.
States and over 3,700 registered players. Quidditch has 7 people on each team. There are 3 ball handlers called chasers. They use a slightly deflated
The chasers right there, they have the ball and the
balls
quaffle.
on each side is 10 points no matter which goal you score through. There are 2 people on each team called beaters. They use the dodgeball, which is called a bludger.
The beater and a
bludger.
bludger.
This is the defense portion of the game. If you get hit with a bludger, you have to drop any ball you're holding and run back to your
Drop a ball and
there's a keeper on each team. That's the goalie. And then there's the...
Alright guys, so the game right here is called the Quidditch they're supposed to be playing. It's basically based on this Harry Potter here. The object of the game is score more points than your opponents, just like any other sports. And each goal is worth 10 points if you throw a quaffle in the hole, right? And catching a golden snitch worth 150 points. Oh wait, actually it's 30 points in here. The game, and if the snitch is caught or an agreement between the captains of both teams. Okay, you have to score as many points as possible, and the game will end if one of the snitch got caught, or let the captains agree to end the game. And then we'll see who wins. And yeah, that's just kind of it. Okay, let's just read it over. So the game is played by 2 teams of the 7 people. There's 2 teams and there are 7 people. 3 of them are the chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, 1 seeker, and 1 snitch. I'm gonna put that thing out, it's very important. It involves 4 balls, a quaffle, 2 bludgers, and the golden snitch. So the keeper guards the goalpost. All the goalpost is the holes there. While the 3 chasers score goals with the quaffle by tossing it into one of the opposing team's 3 goalposts, each worth 10 points. And the 2 beaters keep out the bludgers away from their team and hit the bludgers towards the opposing team. And the seeker catches the golden snitch to the end of the game. So basically the seeker has to catch a snitch, 1 snitch in their teams. And it catches it ends the game. And the team whose seeker catches the snitch is awarded 150 points in their movie. But in this game, 3 points. And it doesn't mean they win if the other team has more points after the snitch is caught. They will get a lot of points than what you expect. And each player must have a broomstick between his legs. And there are lots of rules in this game there, and yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. That's kind of how what this game is going to be, but yeah. Quidditch practice in an hour. You better be here. 30 minutes and counting. My threat to drag you out of your apartment by your ears still stands. Hunk can run a practice without me, and I will come get you. Don't test me, Gagani. Come make an ass out of yourself with us. It's fun. I promise. I thought you liked having a stick between your legs. Wow. Just wow. Calm down. I just parked my bike, and I'm on my way over. It's at the quad, right? Between the student union and the cafeteria? Yep, can't miss us. How did you even manage to reserve half of the quad? Can you even do that? Ha! You think we reserved it? We've just been doing this for 3 years now. People clear out when they see us setting up. It's chill. I'm almost there. Keith clicks up his phone and shoves it into the pocket of the jacket draped over his arm. Probably not a good idea to keep it in the loose pockets of his shorts when he's running around. As he rounds the English building, the quad comes into view and his eyes immediately zero in on the Quidditch team. It's kind of hard to miss them. Half of the flat part of the quad is taken up by them. There's 3 hoops of 3 different sizes set up on either side of the makeshift Quidditch pitch, and the sidelines are marked loosely by the short orange court cones. Several people are gathered in the pitch, standing in small groups. Some of them are running around with balls in their hands and sticks between their legs. Others are standing awkwardly at the sidelines, and Keith can't tell right away they're new. His pace slows as he nears the field, eyes scanning the people there. The fingers of his right hand curl, absently stroking his palm through the somewhat sticky material of his sports gloves. He had gotten them recently. Pidge told him some players prefer gloves when they play to get a better grip on the balls. Keith thought they would be a good investment, probably better than his normal gloves anyway. And he just doesn't want to go around without any gloves at all. It makes him feel exposed and vulnerable, and that's not a feeling he enjoys. Some people don't think twice about showing their soul marks. Some people even go so far as to show them all. Keith would much rather keep them hidden, even to go so far as pretending they don't exist. He knows so little about them, and yet his soulmate is his biggest secret and his biggest weakness. He prefers to keep their interactions to himself, and that usually means hiding his hands. He realizes what he's doing, stroking this morning's pickup line, and shoves his hand into his pocket to stop himself. It's a nervous tick he has, but it's not one he's proud of, and it's one he's been trying to keep for years, which is hard when he gets flirtatious words written across his palm every morning, accompanied with the general warmth of uninhibited affection that trickles into his chest and fills all the cracks with feeling. He can't deny that it's comforting, and he hates that. And somehow, even when those feelings aren't present, he finds himself reaching out to the marks to help settle his nerves. A rose by any other name will smell as sweet. It isn't even It isn't even a pickup line, strictly speaking, but his essence has gotten creative over years of doing this. It isn't even a rose, he had muttered to himself, frowning as he had watched the words appear across his palm in a familiar, messy handwriting. It's only been a couple hours, and he knows if he removes his gloves, the words will still be there, sunk into his skin in blue ink, with slightly darker shade than the already fading words. I love it. Glad you're feeling better. That had appeared on his right wrist the night before, when he had finished painting his feet. It doesn't take him long to spot Pidge. They're standing on one end of the Quidditch pitch, talking to a tall girl with dark skin and strikingly white hair. He changes course to start toward them, ignoring the curious looks he gets. Pidge is looking around, hands on their hips, no doubt looking for him. They finally notice him just seconds after he steps through the crowd, on sidelines, and onto the pitch. Keith! And suddenly they're running. He barely has the time to brace himself before he has an armful of Pidge, and the air is being knocked out of his lungs. The hug is a lot more like hug-like than the last couple of times he's seen them. They seem a lot more awake, too. There's a fewer soul marks on their arms, and the bags under their eyes have receded to what he's come to see as standard for Pidge. Hey! Pidge pulls out of the hug and smirks up at him, eyes practically dancing. Hey, yourself, they say, more punching him in the arm. It's not hard enough to hurt, but damn it, their knuckles aren't bony as hell. You're late. He rubs his arm, and can't bring himself to be mad. I'm pretty sure I'm on time. Actually, you're 5 minutes early. The man with the white hair steps up to them, smiling brightly as she holds out a hand. I'm Allura. Pidge has told me so much about you. Keith gives her a small smile and takes her hand. She has a firm but gentle handshake, and Keith can already tell he's going to like her. All terrible things, I'm sure. Naturally, she says, grinning as she releases his hand, and they both look to Pidge. They have their arms crossed over their chests as they tilt their head, smirking up at Keith. I made a complaint about you being late. He raised an eyebrow. I thought we established that I was on time. Early, even, Laura adds. Then she said, Nope, by Quidditch time, you're late. Laura crosses one arm over her chest, taping her chin with one delicate finger as she tilts her head to the side. Actually, by Quidditch time, it's very early. She looks to Keith. He smiles out casually and plays on her lips. It looks so natural on her, and quite honestly, she's beautiful. But there's also something about her that just speaks of strength. You can see why Pidge is friends with her. Quidditch is always notoriously late, she explains. I'm not sure how it's such a wide occurring phenomenon, but you will never go to a Quidditch practice or tournament anywhere and have it start on time. Even the World Cup always starts late. Okay, then he's late by Pidge time, Pidge says, waiting to dismiss Laura's argument. Pidge time is a cruel and unpredictable mistress. Nora says solemnly, smile still in place. Keith nods. You have no idea. Okay, so now that you meet Allura, you need to meet the rest of the squad, it says, putting their hands on their hips as they turn around, looking over the field. Shouldn't you be, I don't know, setting up for practice? Pidge waves him on. We're practically ready anyway, and besides, we would have had more time to do introductions. If someone had gotten here earlier, careful, Pidge. Your assault is showing. You make it sound like I was trying to hide it. Over there, Laura says, pointing across the pitch. Punk's making his way over here now. Cran and Lawns are still by the other hoops. Frowning, they cup their hands around their mouth and breathe in deep before shouting, Cran! Lance! Come over here! Keith follows their gazes, eyes settling on the big guy headed across the pitch toward them. He's built like a tank, and Keith finds his eyebrows raising, a bright green headband that seems a little out of place and is wrapped around his forehead. He's smiling wide, eyes lit up, as he makes eye contact with Keith, and his attention is warm and welcoming. He lifts a hand to wave, and Keith automatically lifts one in response, feeling incredibly awkward. His gaze slips past him to the two Pidge was yelling at across the field. A man with bright orange hair and a matching impressive mustache is waving at him. Keith can see his grin from here. He only makes it 2 steps before he's turning to look at someone sitting on the ground. He's wearing an all-yellow outfit that, quite honestly, hurts Keith's eyes. They seem to be arguing. The guy on the ground sitting with his shoulders pulled high and arms crossed over his chest. Keith watches curiously. There's something strangely familiar about Lance. I swear to God, get your ass over here, Pidge yells, jerking Keith out of his thoughts. He winces, leaning away from Pidge a fraction, and lifting a hand to rub his ear. Nora smiles at him, sympathetically, and whispers, "You get used to it." Keith returns her smile before his eyes trail back across the field. The guy in yellow is looking up now. It's hard to tell from across the field, but Keith is pretty sure he's looking right at him. He looks away, however, when a man with a mustache helps him to his feet. They start across the field then. The man, Karan, a little more enthusiastically than one Pidge had called Lance. He still got his arms crossed over his chest as they get closer. Keith can make out his face scrunch up and scout and turn. Oh, no. Pidge's Lance. Is that Lance? The same arrogant asshole who had spoiled his smoothie all over him the first day of classes? The same asshole who wouldn't take a goddamn hint and just go away? Why the ever-living hell is Pidge friends with him? He doesn't have much time to dwell on it though, because the big guy is already standing in front of him, extending his hand and effectively blocking out the other two, walking up his face. "Hey, you must be Keith. I'm Honk. It's nice to finally meet you." Keith gives him a small smile because he honestly seems nice enough. The guy is practically oozing friendliness, and for the moment, forgets about the clench in his gut that seeing Dad lands here. And the implications of what that means. It means he's going to have to play nice with him, or at least nice enough by Pidge's book. Ugh. "Nice to meet you too," Keith hears himself say, but he's barely paying attention to his own words. Honk crosses his arms over his chest, beaming. "We're glad you could come out and join us. It's a lot of fun, especially with friends. And any friend of Pidge's is a friend of ours," he says, nodding toward Pidge. Keith looks to them, and they're beaming as well. You can see that they're happy to finally introduce him to their friend. "And who do we have here?" The man with the mustache says cheerfully, a dodgeball tucked under his arm as he lays a hand on his shoulder. "Karan, this is Keith. Keith, Karan," Pidge says, gesturing between them. Karan leans forward and holding out a hand. "Nice to meet you, Keith. Welcome to the team." Keith takes his hand, and it feels strange shaking so many hands in such a small amount of time. It should be something that feels overly formal, but it doesn't. They all put off such a warm, welcoming atmosphere that puts him at ease. Well, except for Lance, now standing between Honk and Karan, hands behind his back and elbows in the air as he's half turned away, fluently ignoring him. I'm not sure if I'm going to be joining the team," says a little hesitantly, eyes darting between all of them. None of their smiles falter. Karan just chuckles, dropping his hand. "Well, you're ready today, aren't you? So today, you're part of the team. Welcome aboard." Keith's lips perked up at that. "Thanks." Out of the corner of his eye, he sees Honk elbow Lance, who stumbles a step before turning to glare at him. His hands go to his hips. "What?" At this point, everyone's turned toward them, so Keith doesn't feel awkward in staring. Hunk's eyes flicker to him before going back to Lance. "Introduce yourself, man." Lance huffs, crosses his arms over his chest, and turns it away. "We've already met," he says offhandedly, and Keith feels his mouth drop. Is his eye twitching? It definitely feels like his eyes twitching. He can see the confused looks around the group, but Keith keeps his eyes on Lance as he tilts his head to the side. "Have we?" he asks in the most innocent, confused voice he can muster. That gets Lance to finally look at him. His head whips around so fast that Keith wouldn't be surprised if he gets a kink in it later. His eyes are wide as they search his face, and his mouth hangs open a little bit. It's a completely unattractive look, and Keith revels in the shock. Then he collects himself, ranging his expression into something that's 2 parts cocky, 1 indignant, and 3 parts annoyed. The name's Lance?" Keith just stares at him. Lance blinks multiple times, his brows furrow. "Lance McLean?" He just keeps staring, watching as he crests. "You gotta be... We have a public speaking together Mondays and Wednesdays?" Keith's bursts Roslo, shaking his head suddenly. Sorry, I don't. He throws hands there. For fuck's sake, I spilled smoothie all over you and you didn't apologize? Come on! I basically ruined your first day of classes. Out of their own volition, Keith's lips quirked at the corners into a new smirk. He crossed the sounds of his chest. So, you will admit you owe me an apology? He has extreme satisfaction where Lance's mouth dropped open, eyes widening and eyebrows sharp and upward. You do remember me? He rose us. Of course I do. You weren't told. You kind of made yourself memorable. Lance's mouth opens and closes a lot then, and a variety of sounds escape, but none of them end up forming weird words, let alone sentences. His hands are flinging around wildly, and he looks around between his friends for sport. He doesn't find any. His eyes eventually settle on Hunk, pleading silently as he makes these pathetic, offended sounds and gestures to keep helplessly. Hunk just shakes his head. Dude, honestly, I was expecting a bad first impression from you, Lance, but this honestly just tops anything I could have thought of. Pidge says, not sounding at least bit accusatory or sympathetic. Lance spins around to glare at them, but they ignore him, clapping their hands together loudly. Well, now that that's settled, we have a quidditch practice start. True to what Allura had said, practice doesn't start on time. In fact, it doesn't start until nearly 20 minutes past the hour. During that time, Pidge somehow managed to scale up Punk's body to sit on his shoulders and has produced a megaphone from one of numerous bags of Quidditch equipment. He watches from the sidelines as Hunk walks around with Pidge perched on him like it's the most natural thing in the world. Their ankles are locked and hang down on his chest, and he doesn't even have to hold onto them. He knows from experience that Pidge is a master of climbing and bouncing on friends. While Pidge and Hunk attempt to organize everyone and direct all players into helping set up equipment, Keith idly chats with Allura and Grant. They're both older than him, but he's not sure by how much. Still, they're both friendly and talk to him like they've been friends for years. He finds out that they co-own a local coffee shop that they started after they graduated, and that they ran it for a couple of years before deciding to return for grad school. He tries to carry on the conversation with them, but he's not used to so much small talk. Still, they manage to somehow make it easy on him. They ask him direct questions instead of open-ended questions, and direct conversation themselves. They always seem to notice when it gets to be too much because they redirect the topic to something more between themselves to give Keith a break. The entire time, tension is split between them, Pidge and Hunk, and Lance. As soon as Pidge and Hunk had left their little group to start organizing practice, Lance had left, too. He isn't stupid enough to think it's not entirely because he's here, trying to be subtle. He watches Lance flit around the quad, slipping from group to group, talking to all the new players alike, with an easygoing smile and confidence that obviously makes people comfortable around him. He doesn't get it. The guy just gets on his nerves. Finally, Pidge and Hunk managed to round everyone up at the center of the designated Quidditch pitch. Pidge has climbed down from Hunk's shoulders, and everyone is standing in a wide circle. Keith stands across the circle from them, and nearly a third of the way around from Lance. Not that he's looking. The old and new players seem to be scattered and mixed around. There has to be somewhere upwards of 30 people there, maybe 40. He doesn't know if this is a good or bad turnout. Keith feels a prickling sensation at the back of his neck, and it's very similar to the one he gets in class when he just knows Lance is staring at him. So he pointedly fixes his gaze on Pidge as they start. Alright, welcome everyone to the first Quidditch practice of the year, they say, clasping their hands together loudly. They've thankfully abandoned megaphone in favor of just protecting their voice around the circle. How many of you have never played Quidditch before? The pause as nearly half of the people raised their hands. Couldn't keep. They nod, grinning. Awesome. Well, we'll give you a quick overview. Don't worry, if you don't get it, we'll go over it in more depth later. Has anyone here not seen the Harry Potter movies or read the books? No one raised their hands. Alright, so it's actually really similar to that Quidditch, but with some accommodations. For the fact that we can't fly and our balls aren't magic, there's a round snicker at this, and Pidge pauses like they were expecting. They roll their eyes. Anyway, I'm Pidge. They, them pronouns, please, and this is Honk. We're the team's commissioners. Honk raises a hand, grinning around the group. Hey guys, Honk is gonna give you a rundown of how this works before we get started. Alright, so like Pidge said, it's actually very similar to Quidditch in the books and movies. We have 4 positions: chasers, beaters, keepers, and seekers. He counts out the fingers of one hand, and lifts his other hand to count on those fingers. And then we have 3 types of balls: the quaffle, the bludgers, and the snitch. When the snitch is in play, there are 7 players in each team on the field, and each team is designated by, well, in games against other teams. We have our team shirts, but when we play here, we have pennies to tell the teams apart. He passes the judge the crayon, who has a backpack at his feet. The man pulls out 2 sport pennies, one red and one blue. And positions are designated by colored headbands. Hunt continues, pointing to his own headband. Keepers are green. He points to the pitch, where they have a rolled up black bandana tied their head like a headband. It makes their hair stick up even more than usual. Beaters wear black. He turns and points to Laura, who has a white rolled bandana tied around her head, keeping some of the fallen strands of equally white hair out of her face. She grins and waves as people turn to look at her. Chasers wear white, and seekers wear yellow. Most of us who played before have our own headbands. It's easier to just have one to keep on rather than trade them all. But we have team headbands for people who don't have their own. And don't worry, we try to wash them after every practice. Because honestly, who wants to wear a headband that's been passed from person to person when we're all playing a sport? And they get sweaty and Honk, Pidge says. Honk stops and looks at them, blinking. Oh, right. Anyway, back on topic. This, he points to the volleyball in Pidge's hand. They hold up high above their head to show everyone, is the quaffle. There are 3 chases and 1 keeper on each side at all times. Only these 2 positions can touch the quaffle. Chasers use the quaffle to score points by throwing it through the hoop on the opponent's side. Each goal is worth 10 points. Honk goes through the information in a quick and organized way. Words, clip, and voice almost bored, like he's done this 100 times. And he probably has. That position is pretty self-explanatory. Keepers are the goalies who protect the hoops. Like a lot of sports, if the keeper has the quaffle within the keeper's zone around the hoops, you can't wrestle it from them. They also can't be hit by a bludger while in the keeper's zone, immunity and all that. But if the keeper steps outside the keeper's zone, they function as normal chasers have to abide by chaser rules. Laura leans close to the key, a smile playing across her lips as she keeps her eyes on Honk. Honk is a great keeper, she whispers. He doesn't do it often, because he's not a big sprinter, but sometimes he chases down the field screaming, she whispers, laughing under her breath as she glances at Keith. It's hilarious and usually scares the other team. Keith feels the corner of his lip twitch upward, pulled by the infectious of her smile. I would be, too. Looks like a tank. Just wait till you see them in action. He looks away from her, gaze trailing around the circle on his way back to Honk. He doesn't realize what he's doing until his eyes land on Lance. He's glaring at him, and immediately Keith feels his smile fade, pressing his lips together into a small frown as he turns back to Honk. What's the big guy's deal anyway? This time, it's Pidge who speaks up. The dodgeballs, they say, pointing to Cran, who holds up a dodgeball proudly, are bludgers. Only beaters are allowed to handle the bludgers. We act as both offense and defense for our team, allowing our chasers to get through the opponent's chasers and beaters to score points. If you get hit by a bludger, you're temporarily out. You take your broom out from between your legs and indicate that you're out of play. And while you're out of play, you can't interact with anything or anyone. If there's a ball in your hands, you drop it. You have to run back to your own hoops. Once you touch them, you're back in the play. If a bludger hits another bludger, or the quaffle, it doesn't count. If a beater catches a bludger, the hit doesn't count. Chasers can't catch the bludger because it's not their ball. There's 2 beaters on each side at all times, but only 3 bludgers in play. This means, obviously, someone is going to be without a ball. Bludger control is very important, and we'll get into details of that later. As if on cue, Honk picks right there, like the 2 of them had this whole thing memorized. You're probably all wondering how the snitch works. He pauses for a moment, to look around, getting nods of accent. Well, in Muggle Quidditch, the snitch is a person. Well, no, that's not entirely correct. The snitch isn't a person. The snitch itself is actually a ball in a sock. Well, it used to be a sock tucked into someone's pants. We've gotten a little more high-tech since then. But when we say snitch, we're usually referring to the person carrying the snitch. Honk. This time, it's Lance who speaks. Keith refuses to look at him. Clears his throat before continuing. Right. Okay, so, the snitch is a person, usually dressed in all yellow. He gestures, and Keith already knows he's gesturing to Lance. He doesn't want to look. He honestly doesn't, but he does anyway. It's hard not to when Lance is suddenly doing a cartwheel into the center of the circle. He stops and puts one hand on his hip, flexing with his other arm before pointing finger guns around the circle. With his eyes hand on Keith's, he winks, smirking in a way that's infinitely infuriating. Keith stiffens, hands curling to fists as he crosses them over his chest. He glares at Lance, but he's unfazed as he just keeps turning in a circle to grin at everyone. Honk sighs loudly while he's smiling. This is Lance, and he's our team's only USQ certified snitch. But for the purpose of our practices, anyone is welcome to try snitching. Lance plays other positions too. Anyways, he wearing official snitch pants. Without the snitch though, Lance, whereas here we go. Karan straightens from where he's been digging in the bag of his feet and pulls out what it looks like. Honestly, a black sock with a ball inside. He tosses it toward Lance, who snatches out of the air. One end of the sock is sewed shut and padded with Velcro, and Lance detects it with a Velcro patch at the center of his back on the waistband of his yellow shorts. Thanks, Gran, he says, before spinning around, doing a little dance to make the snitch bounce on his ass. It looks ridiculous. Keith scowls at him. As I was saying, Honk says, that's the snitch. The snitch isn't released into play until 15 minutes into the game, or to whenever the herd rep says. When the snitch is released, so are the seekers. The game ends when the snitch is caught, but unlike in Harry Potter, the snitch is only worth 30 points. It would be a little ridiculous to be worth 150, Pidge says. 30 is much more reasonable and allows for much closer games. This catch doesn't always guarantee a win. Honk nods. Exactly. Seekers aren't allowed to touch the snitch. He starts ticking off on his fingers again. So, no tackling, no close grabbing, no arm or leg grabbing, no pushing, stuff like that. But Lance cuts in, hands on his hips as he crosses his legs to go on a smooth spin, turning in a small circle to grin at everyone. Can do all of that to you. Actually, Lance, you can only do that to the Seekers. Honk adds, but Lance just waves him off. Yeah. The point is, I can do whatever I want to the Seekers. As Snitch, I can do whatever I want within my power to keep you from grabbing the ball. Within reason. Lance says, within reason. And you go easy on the new people because it's the only start of the season. Lance sighs out, letting his head low backwards. And I'll go easy on everyone, blah blah. Now get back in the circle, Lance. Pidge says, it's not about you anymore. Lance scoots, but listens, reclaiming his spot. I think that's about it. Pidge turns to Honk. Are we missing anything? Honk shrugs. Just the brooms, I think. Oh, right. Pidge gestures to the pile of PVC pipes, piled at the center of the circle. And we do all this on brooms. There are not actually brooms though. We used to use brooms, but it's not as practical. These are what most teams are doing now. They're cut to the smallest length required by the rulebook, and they're lightweight. And no bristles. Honk winces, rubbing his legs. Those things can shaft. We can call them brooms though. They serve the same purpose, without serving the actual purpose of a broom, which is to clean things, which they can't do because they have no bristles. It's fairly easy to run with one between your legs, so don't worry about it. And for the most part, you just have to get used to playing with one hand. And I think that's it for the rundown of the rules. Some of you are probably still really confused because it's like a lot to take in. And it looks even crazier when you watch it because there's a bunch of stuff going on at once. But you'll pick up on it as we go. Experience is the best teacher. For now though, we're going to really start our practice with a little icebreaker. There are some groans around the circle from older members. Pidge scouts at them. Come on, it's a tradition. If we're all going to play together, we might as well know each other's names. We're going to pass the shovel around the circles until everyone's had it once. When you catch it, tell us your name, your school year, if you've played Quidditch before, and something about yourself that we can't tell by looking at you. Pidge turns then, sending a glare at Lance. And you're not allowed to say anything about soulmate because honestly, that's so boring by now. Lance throws his arms up in the air. I didn't say anything. No, but you always say something about your soulmate. The point of this is to learn about us, not the people we're connected to. Lance doesn't say anything, but he hops loudly and crosses his arms over his chest, lips sticking out in a pout. Keith snorts, rolling his eyes. Lance's glare flickers to him, and he meets it, unflinching. Lance sticks out his tongue, and he can feel his eyes twitching again. He feels the fingers of his right hand pressing into the palm of his glove, where he knows there are words marking his skin. He wishes he could feel some of that warm, calm peacefulness that comes over him whenever his soulmate marks him. He could use it right about now. Alright, so I'm going to start this thing off. Pidge says, bringing his attention back to them. He's grateful for the excuse to look away from Lance. As I said earlier, I'm Pidge. I'm a junior. I've also played Quidditch before, and I can solve Rubik's Cube behind my back in under a minute. Their grin turns into a knowing smirk when they meet Keith's eyes. He scowls at them. That was going to be his fun fact. Well, he can't do it behind his back, but he can solve one. What the hell is he supposed to say now? He doesn't have any interesting hidden talents, at least not any he can think up on the spot. He's drawn a blank. For a moment, he thinks Pidge is going to pass him the ball, but he's given a few more moments to think when they instead throw it to Cran. Name's Cran, he says, holding a quaffle in one hand and tugging at his collar with the other. He stands straight, closing his eyes briefly as he lifts his chin proudly. Grad student, Quidditch veteran, now can speak 6 languages fluently. There are a few murmurs around the circle, and Keith raises his eyebrows. He's impressed. Then again, he can't really imagine anything less than an eccentric man. He tosses the ball to Honk, who scrambles to catch it when it gets too wide. Pidge snores. Nice pass, Gran. Andrew shrugs, smiling. It's my job to hit my targets, not to pass the ball. Hi, I'm Honk. I'm a junior, and I've played Pidge before, obviously, since I'm a co-commissioner, and I knit. A lot. He smiles, sheepishly, then lobs the ball across the circle towards Keith. He's about to catch it when Laura suddenly snatches it out of the air, and looks at her, brow pinched in confusion. She just smiles and winks, sticking out her tongue before turning her to face the circle. I'm Allura, grad student, Quidditch veteran, and I can lick my elbow. That isn't what he expected her to say. He seems like a goofy sort of fact compared to what everyone else has been saying. But she says it with such a good-natured confidence, but that doesn't sound out of place at all. She looks to him, still smiling, and she reminds him so much of Shiro that in that moment they finds herself saying, "Prove it." She laughs, bending her arm and lifting her elbow, leaning forward, and yup, she can lick her elbow. She even crosses her eyes in concentration as she does it. Keith isn't sure he doubted her, but it's funny enough that he finds himself laughing. And he's surprised when she practically drops the ball into his hands. His laugh cuts off, smile dropping as he stares at it. He looks up at her, but she just smiles, arms crossed over his chest. Your turn, and looks around the circle, suddenly finding himself at a loss for words. He doesn't really like everyone's attention on him, but He supposes he should just get this over with. Looks at Pidge for reassurance, and they give him a small thumbs up. I'm Keith. I'm technically a junior, but it's my first year here. I never played Quidditch, and he hesitates. He's not sure what to say. Pidge stole his Rubik's Cube idea, which is his usual go-to for questions like this. Thinks he should probably say something about his knife tricks or that he built his bike up from scratch. But he's kind of still stuck on Louis' goofy fun fact, and he finds himself saying something completely different than he planned. I can tie a cherry stem into a knot with my mouth. Laura laughs. There's a few chuckles around the circle. Now that it is over, he's relieved to floods his system. He smiles, that is, until he hears Lance's obnoxious voice speak up across the circle. No way! He looks at him, and Lance is scowling again. Yes way? No. That was going to be my secret talent. Kibo says. Can be yours too. No way. You already took it. I'm not copying you. He crosses his arms over his chest, sticking his nose up into the air. He frowns, holding the ball between his hands and his chest, elbows out. Well, then you better think of something fast. Then he shoves the ball across the circle with all the force he can. He catches Lance off guard, and he yells, leaping out of the way as the ball clips him and sails past. He glides at Keith. Not cool, man. Keith just shrugs, smirking as Lance turns the jogs over to pick up the ball before returning to the circle. He palmed the quaffle, brows still furrowed. So name's Lance, Snitch Extraordinaire, Junior, obvious Quidditch veteran, and he tilts his head back, tapping his chin. Oh my god, but Lance, just say something, he says, putting their forehead in her hand. I would have if someone had stolen my idea, he said, shooing Keith a look. He kept his smirk in place, raising one eyebrow. It seemed to just infuriate Lance more, which is exactly what he had been hoping for. Lance, just say that thing about your eye. Nonsense. That's weird and unique enough for you. Lance blinks, looking away from Keith with a blank look on his face. Then he grins. Oh, right! He puts one hand on his hip and spins a couple on one finger with his other hand. It wobbles almost immediately and nearly falls before he has to catch it. I can move my right eye independently from my left, so I can do the spot the difference puzzles really fast. He stares at it. That isn't what he had been expecting either. He had been expecting something much more obnoxious and not innocent, weird, almost endearing. Maybe there's more to Lance than, so take that, mullet. Nope. Still. So, the name of the game is Hunger Games. Name and contraception courtesy of me, Pidge announces, then gestures wildly to the pile of balls at their feet. They're stacked up as much as they can be. All the balls they have including the spares, 5 bludgers, and 2 quaffles. Behold, the cornucopia. This is our favorite warm-up game. I thought it would be a good way to get you all used to throwing and dodging. This game is basically dodgeball. We'll be working in pairs, and there's no boundaries. All the balls gonna act like bludgers. Work with your partner to protect each other. Get hit, you're out, and your partner is on their own. Only 1 ball per person, and no camping bludgers. You catch it, you're still in. You don't have enough brooms for everyone, but this is a quidditch exercise, so we're going to handicap everyone the old-fashioned way. Everyone has to keep one hand behind their backs at all times. There's a lot of groans and giggles around the group. The rookies find the idea amusing, and you can see some of them putting their hands behind their backs to get a feel for it. The veterans aren't too happy about it. It does keep them from using their hand like a broom would, but it's surprisingly more difficult to have it behind their backs rather than in front of them. It draws a balance in the weirdest ways, but Lance is used to it. He's a damn fine snitch, and he's proud of the fact that he usually ends up being handicapped, forced to put a hand behind his back and fight off seekers with only one hand. He's even double handicapped several times. That's always fun. Alright, everyone, pair up. Pidge jogs to Keith, grabbing his arm. Keith, you're with me. Let's kick their asses. He smirks, and Lance feels an itch under his skin. Got it. You two are going down, Lance calls from across the pitch, hands cupping around his mouth as he leans forward. They both turn to look at him, Keith with annoyance and Pidge with amusement. Right, Honk? He straightens and puts a hand on his hip, holding their fists out. Hunk bumps him. Of course, dude. He and Hunk owns this game. Well, he owns it at this game. Honk is average, but they still make a really good team, and he usually chooses Honk as a partner because they're bros for life. Of all the chasers and beaters for that matter on the team, Lance is known for his dodges. He'll go so far as to drop his knees and leaping out of the way if it means ducking a bludge throw. Sometimes he goes a little overboard, but hey, it's all about showmanship, and it's effective, so win-win. Once everyone is paired up, they'll position themselves in a wide circle around the pile of balls. Brooms down, on my whistle. Pidge calls from across the circle. Ready! Everyone takes a knee, hands on the ground like they would at the beginning of the quidditch match. Lance holds his weight like a runner start, preparing to throw himself forward. Are we gonna do the usual strategy? Honk whispers at his side. Lance puts his head to look at him. Seeing the uneasy expression there, Lance grins. Yeah, man, don't worry. I got this. Honk breathes a sigh of relief. Honk isn't one for sprinting. Okay, good. I'll be here, dude, and I'll be right back. Pidge waits, and tense sounds falls over the group. Everyone is tense, listening for the whistle, and Pidge milks it. Lance feels the familiar sense of excitement and anticipation flow through his veins, vibrating out through his limbs. Feels rigid, muscles cold and ready to spring. He might be holding his breath. He lifts his head and ends up making eye contact with Keith. A fire flares up inside him. Keith. I still can't believe Pidge's Keith is this Keith. This whole Keith. Who's proven that he's an soul and make a fool out of him twice in less than an hour. Lance narrows his eyes. He's going to be the one to tag Keith out. Thumbs up! Pidge calls half a second before they both. Lance is already sprinting. He sees a flash of white hair somewhere to his right and knows Allura is diving for the pile too. She's going to make it there right after Lance, so he's going to have to be quick. Sees Keith running for it too, but it wasn't as fast to get up. Lance reaches the pile first. He immediately grabs the quaff on top and throws it blindly over his shoulder before grabbing one of the bludgers. Then he's backing up, hightailing it backwards. Eyes locked on Laura, Keith, and a couple of the others as they reach the pile. He doesn't look away until his good distance away. And only when he sees Honk come up to side, ball in hand, they exchange grins. Game on. They travel around the pitch standing back to back to keep eyes out everywhere. Everyone is in similar positions, and everyone keeps moving. Some pairs, like them, have 2 balls. Some groups have none. Those groups are mostly rookies, and they look nervous. They'd be easy prey, but there's no fun or honor in that. So he and Honk hunt down the pairs with at least 1 ball, systematically weakening everyone by tagging a member of their parents. When one of them loses their ball, the other takes the lead. Lance usually passes his ball to Honk because he's better at catching and more willing to dive out from Honk's safety to grab a spare ball on the ground before someone else can. They communicate constantly, calling out the position threats in hushed tones. Lance can see the inexperienced pairs are separating, and some of the rookies flinching. He leaves those ones alone, preferring to give them a chance and going after the veteran players instead. The exception to that is Keith, of course. As soon as they rotate closer to them, he's going down. He keeps an eye on Laura and Cran, both of them paired up with rookies. They're still formidable on their own. It's easy to tell where Cran is. He has a tendency to call out when he throws, whether it's a word or just a shout of victory. It's quirky, and Lance thinks it's great, and in this case, it's helpful, because he can always keep an ear out Cran's position. Allura, on the other hand, is silent and delicate, so it keeps her in his sights. Have you seen Pidge and Keith? Lance is keeping his back to him. They've taken out 5 people so far, and dodged shots from several attacks. Not many pairs are still whole, but they are. But they have 2 balls. Now is the perfect time to strike. Dude, what's your obsession with him? It's not an obsession. I just need to take him out. Lance, he deserves it. Come on, man, play nice. He's Pidge's best friend. Why did you tell him to play nice with me? Lance, be the bigger. Oh, over here. Lance reacts to the panic in his voice instantly, whipping around to look for a threat. There's a bear coming at them from Honk's side. It's an old player, Jackie. And some new guy that Lance doesn't remember the name of Jackie grins, bearing back throwing at Honk. He manages to block the shot with his own ball. Unfortunately, he knocks the ball out of his grip. As he bends down to pick it up, Lance puts a hand on Honk's back. jumping up to chuck his ball over Hunk's shoulder to peg Jackie in the arm. Ha ha, you're out, Lance says, grinning. Jackie goes, God damn it, Lance. You should know better than to come after us. Nice one, Lance, Hunk says, straightening. Lance jogged forward to pick up the ball Jackie had thrown. Her partner had already picked up Lance's old ball and had run off while Jackie made her way to the sidelines, hands in the air to indicate she's out. Thanks, buddy. Lance picks up the ball, putting his free hand behind his back again. And as he turns to grin to Hunk, we got in this in the bag. Hunk eyes sweating. Lance, look out! Before he can say anything else, pain explodes in the back of his head. He jerks forward, stumbling a few steps. You can hear the ball bounce off the ground. Bob screwed up in a frown. He whips around, searching for the source of. His eyes instantly locked onto Key. He's standing not too far away, grinning at him, and still leaning forward after his throw. As he straightens, he high-fives Pidge, with double overlapping. Lance escapes at him, his grips loosening, and the ball in his hands falls to the ground to bounce and roll harmlessly away. Key tilts his head to the side, giving Lance a small, two-fingered salute before Pidge is darted off and he's fallen. The pain from the blow is already fading as he makes his way to the sidelines. It's nothing to compare to the sting of his pride. He's out of the game. It's a complete dodgeball. It's basically just grab the dodgeball, throw somebody else out. And there's like a free ball, no boundary. And then everybody just have to run for themselves and avoid hitting it. But that's just how this game works, I guess. Despite his apprehension over the whole thing, he finds Quidditch isn't so bad. With the exception of Lance, people are great, Pidge fans especially. The Hunger Games exercise was actually a lot of fun, and the Pidge were the last group pair standing along with a handful of single players. And he got to tag Lance out. He hadn't meant to hit him in the head. He can't exactly bring himself to regret it, not after seeing the priceless look on his face. He ended up getting tagged out by Karan. The hit was a gentle tap on the back, a ball merely bouncing off him and back into Karan's hands. He whipped around, mouth to give in and along for how the overly loud and excited man could possibly sneak up on him. His eyes had glinted as he winked before drawing off. He had stood on the sidelines next to Lance, who had snickered at Keith's defeat. He had ignored him in favor of watching Pidge and Allura face off in the last people standing. Allura won! It was a relatively quick game, so they had played a couple times, each time with new partners. Lance had seemed to make it a point to tag out Keith, which only led him to trouble when he tunneled vision so hard that it was an easy target for others. Turns out the rest of the Quidditch isn't so bad either. The exercise they're doing now seems a lot more relevant to an actual game. They're lined up in 3 lines at center field, facing one set of hoops. 1 line for beaters and 2 for chasers. There's also 2 small lines side by side with pitch for the keeper and defensive beater. They go run after run where 2 chasers and a beater charge down the field, face off and try to score against the defensive beater and the keeper. All the new players mixed up in the lines, and Pidge and Hunk have encouraged everyone to try all the positions. 2 of them are standing side by side, preserving and encouraging. Pidge blows the whistle each time to signal the start of exercise. Keith thinks they just like to be in charge of the whistle. Pidge also might have been onto something when they said that Keith would be good at this whole Pidge thing. So far, they hadn't been wrong. He was good at the first game, he's doing well this one so far. He tried the beater position a couple times, but he doesn't like it quite as much as he likes chasing. He hasn't tried keeping, but he doesn't really think he's going to. He's standing in one of the chaser lines, arms loosely crossed over his chest. He watches Cran lead the charge. He shouts something that sounds suspiciously like "Tally-o!" and holds his bludger high above his head as he runs, leading the chasers to follow in his wake. Keith smiles. He barely has time to register someone leaning in before there's suddenly a voice in his ear. I bet I can score more goals than you. He stops, smile fading as he recognizes that voice. He turns his head, and sure enough, Lance is standing beside him in line. He's watching Karan, a small smirk playing across his lips. Keith's eyes narrow for You realize I'm 3 for 3 in goals, right? Please, I'm 4 for 4. He tilts his head to the side, eyeing Keith sideways. His lips are quirked in that frustrating smirk. So, you in? He really doesn't want to rise the bait. But when he opens his mouth to tell him to golf, he finds himself saying, what I get when I win. Lance raises an eyebrow, smirk one. Cocky, huh? Must I remind you that you're the rookie here? He just stares at it. Lance continues. What do you want then? He goes for the first thing he can think that will annoy Lance. If I win, you have to apologize for knocking my smoothie over. Lance stiffens, smirk dropping as he purses his lips scared. He turns to face Keith more fully, opening and closing his mouth without saying a word. Keith raises an eyebrow and joins the circle. Fine, but when I win, you have to apologize for being rude when I tried to help. Keith narrows his eyes. Fine. Fine. You're on. Bring it. Lance puts a valiant effort, but he goaded Keith. Now that he's taken the bait, he sure as hell isn't about to let Lance win. Lance has the uncanny ability to annoy the ever-living out of him, and Keith has a burning desire to wipe that smirk off his face. And seeing him struggle as he tries to apologize won't be so bad either. Cher has always said he's stubborn when he wants to be, and this is one of those situations. Luckily, his stubbornness usually helps him in the long run. By the time Pidge and Hunk call an end to the exercise, Keith had scored 18 goals, and Lance has only scored 17. As they regroup around Pidge and Hunk for the next set of instructions, Keith catches Lance's eye. He smirks, and Lance pouts. You got lucky, mullet. Say whatever you're gonna say to make yourself feel better. It's now over again. Keith and Lance rivalry is now coming back together. Comes that all over again. Practice is a little slow, but that's to be expected when it's the first of the year and they're accommodating new players. Still, Lance is having fun. He hasn't played at all since the Summer Fantasy Tournament, and he missed it. Good friends, fun sport, what's not to love? Even with Keith hanging out and throwing off his groove, he's still managing to enjoy himself. Especially now that it's time for secret practice. It's time to shine. Remember to go easy on them, Hunk says, clapping him on the shoulder as he walks by. Lance gaps loudly, putting a hand to his chest as a show of offended innocence. Hunk, what kind of guy do you think I am? Show off, he says, rolling his eyes, but his tone is good-natured. Lance writes, I can't help it that I'm good. Behave yourself, Lance. Hunk calls over his shoulder as he makes his way to the hoops, where all the keepers and potential keepers are gathered. Lance laughs, putting his hands on his hips as he surveys the small group in front of him. He's standing at the edge of the pitch, a little ways up the hill to make himself loom over them. There's only 4 of them, and only one of them is an old player. To be fair, Greg isn't even a seeker main. He's mostly a chaser who can seek when they need him to. But Lance had asked him to join the seeker practice so he could demonstrate to someone who's actually played the position before. 13 doesn't really have a main seeker. It's been Lance for a couple of years, with the occasional player who only comes for a couple months before never returning. Lance thinks he's a damn fine seeker. He's a good snitch, after all, but his team doesn't always agree. So yeah, he doesn't have the best track record when it comes to seeking, but he's getting better. Alright, Lance claps his hands together, grinning at the 4 standing in front of him. Welcome, you brave souls, to secret practice. He puts a hand on his hip to the other to his chest, lifting his chin. I will be your glorious and handsome snitch and guide on this fine Saturday afternoon. Lance, Greg cuts in, giving him up at me. Just get on with it. Lance says, you have no sense of showmanship, and you have too much. That's just one of the many things that makes me a great snitch, he says, face brightening as he winks. Greg tilts his head to the side, eyebrows raised as he considers. Well, you got me there. As I was saying, welcome to the theater, Keith. Lance looks at the Pidge, jogs across the field, leaving the group of beardlings under the care of Cran. Keith has been trailing after the group chased our fallen Lura to the far of the end, but at the sound of his name, he pauses, mid-step, and turns. When Pidge reaches him, they speak in a low voice that Lance can't hear, but he watches the exchange through narrowed eyes. It's only Pidge is pointing to him that Keith is looking up, a scowl on his face. Greg clears his throat, whipping Lance's attention back to him. You were saying? As I was saying, he says, perhaps a little too loud. Welcome to the secret practice. Out of the corner of his eye, I can see Keith charging toward them. He looks up, drawing attention to him. Looks like we got a straggler. he says, grinning in the face of Keith's scout. What are you doing here? Keith steps up to the small semicircle of potential seekers, arms crossed over his chest. Pidge told me to try out seeking. Lance says, you think you can take me? Keith just shrugs and says nothing. Lance glares at him and only looks away when Greg clears his throat again. Come on, Lance. We don't have all day. Right. As I was saying, pointedly ignoring Keith, Lance goes over the rules of seeking in snitch play. Compared to the other positions, it's relatively straightforward. After 15 minutes, the snitch is released onto the field and it's played. The seekers are then free to go after them. The seeker has to get a clean grab of the ball hanging off the back of the snitch's hands. If grab isn't clean, the ball is put back and the play is reset. If they get hit by a bludger, they have to go back to their hoops. If the room is taken out from between the legs, they have to go back to their hoops. If the snitch falls down, they have to give them a couple of seconds to get back up. They're not allowed to touch the snitch, but the snitch damn well can touch them. And that's it. Simple. Easier said than done, but simple. After he runs through the rules, he gets Greg to help him demonstrate what it looks like in real time, as well as some of the more common strategies. Despite the fact that Keith is there, Lance doesn't let it ruin his mood. He's in his element. He's teaching something he's good at, and he's thriving in the attention given to him, even if it's only from 5 people. After Greg gets tired of his shenanigans, because yeah, at this point, he's just showing off, claps the guy, shoulder, and grins. Alright, so how about we give poor Greg here a break? Who wants to try it first? Now that his part is over, Greg goes in to join the chasers, leaving Lance alone with the new potential seekers. He runs through exercises with a lot of them, and true to his word, he goes easy on them. They all take turns, running at him and attempting to grab the snitch. When he puts them out of commission, they pass the one broom they have to the next person in line. At first, they're obviously nervous and unsure of themselves. They all come at him with hesitant steps and tentative grabs. He easily sidesteps. He lets each of them make several grabs, gaining confidence with each one, and each time casually baiting their arms away or stepping aside. Lord pulls the rope out from them and forcing them back to the line. Keith, on the other hand, he has fun with it. As soon as Keith steps up, Lance grins at him, raising both hands and twitching his fingers. Come at me, bro. Keith just glares at him before darting forward, arm reaching out in a wide, obvious, and sloppy motion. Lance doesn't give Keith a chance. He sidesteps Keith advance, grabbing the broom with both hands and pulling it out from between his legs. He's too surprised and unprepared, and the broom comes out of his grip easily. He keeps staring as Lance grins at him, pulling the broom up. That's cheating! Lance throws back on his head, laughing. Oh man, the look on his face is priceless. Finally, Lance can have his time to shine to make Keith look stupid. Oh man, he's going to enjoy this. He should thank Pidge later. Not this cheating when you're a snitch, he says, cocking his head to the side, wide smile still in place. He gives Keith a small wink before he's tossing the broom to the next person in line. What was her name again? Who knows? He's barely been paying attention. If they come back again, he'll bother learning their names. Back with the line, Keith boy. He laughs again as Keith stomps away. Oh yeah, he's going to enjoy this. He goes easy on the other 3, letting them get the feel of what it's like to seek. He talks them through it, giving them advice on the fly as he's backing away. He tells them how snitches usually counter certain grabs, even as he doesn't. This is, after all, his specialty, and he likes being able to show his knowledge. Each of them gets better every time they try. Still not game worthy, but they're getting the hang of it. He doesn't, however, let any of them actually catch him. A snitch has to have some pride. Keith, on the other hand, he doesn't go easy on. A couple of times, it's Keith's turn. Lance does his best to get him out as quickly as possible. He can't believe how many times Keith lets him pull his broom out. It's easy. It's like the guy who is so focused on trying to grab a snitch that he just neglects to take the rest of himself into account. Even when he learns to keep a firmer grip on the broom, all it takes is a well-placed hand, a shove, and an upward pull, and the broom is out. During the other turns, Lance can feel Keith's eyes on him. His gaze is hot on the back of his neck. So just to annoy him further, Lance takes extra care being helpful and patient with the others. He can't help it. This is fun. On Keith's fourth try, he catches Lance off guard and lunges at him with a quickness that Lance hadn't seen from him so far. He totally does not yelp as he scrambles backwards, hands shooting out to Keith's shoulders to hold him back. When he looks up at Keith's face, the hole has the audacity to smirk at him. There's a glint of something fiery in the depths of his eyes that has Lance's gut tying itself in knots. So that's how they're going to play it, huh? Fine. Lance can step up, shoves Keith away, and they face off. Lance stands in his typical snitch stance, knees bent, ass out to keep the ball as far from Keith as possible. Arms held out to his sides, ready. Keith circles him slowly, eyes locked onto his. Lance turns with him, his own smile gone. Then Keith takes a step to the right, and Lance sees the moment his weight shifts and he lunges to the left. His hand on the broom switches, left hand reaching out and around him. Lance has to admit he's impressed. That's an advanced strategy that he isn't expecting. But as he said before, he's a damn good snitch. The reflexes kick in as he's adjusting to defend the block Keith's grab. Ambidextrous, huh? Not bad. Can't say I was expecting it, he says as he grabs Keith's broom. Instead of pulling it out, though, he uses to spin Keith around, relishing the way his eyes widen in surprise. He then lifts a foot, plants it on Keith's ass, and pushes him away. He goes stumbling and Lance snaps. You're still sloppy, though. I saw that coming in a mile away. Keith turns around to glare at him. Lance takes up his defensive stance again, eyes glinting as he smirks and sways his hips from side to side, causing it to sway tauntingly behind him. Come on, then. Show me what you got. Turns out, the only thing more fun than getting Keith out as quick as possible is playing with him and taunting him. Each time he fails a grab, and Lance sends him reeling with a kick to the ass or a pat on the shoulder. He manages to look even more angry and even more frustrated. Lance wasn't sure it was possible, but here he is, red-faced and finished scowl and all, in its constipated-looking glory. And while he started out surprisingly good, it gets sloppier with every failed attempt, and it gets easier and easier to make a fool out of it. Lance is living. In what has to be a last-ditch effort, Keith charges him, reaching out and around to try to grab his snitch. Lance doesn't have to think twice. He steps into it, catches Keith off guard as he wraps him up and uses his own momentum to flip him up and over. He lands on his back and stays there, staring up the sky with his arms flopped out beside him. Lance leans over him, hands on his hips. Keith looks dazed. You haven't weighed, he says, feeling his lips curl to a new smirk. You haven't measured. Keith's eyes flicker to his, cross-pitching. And you absolutely have been found wanting. Keith picks up his fallen broom and tries to swat at Lance. Off. Lance dances away, laughing. See? That's what happens when you're being a seeker and not being a snitcher. That might be an issue for him, because he has to try. He has to try and fail, because Lance, he's a good snitcher. Oh man. Poor Keith. You're going to catch him, right? Keith blinks, looking down to where Pidge has suddenly appeared at his elbow. What? Pidge points a thumb over the shoulder. That idiot! You're gonna catch him, right? You're gonna be the seeker on your team? He follows the gesture to where Lance standing across the field talking to Honk. Whatever they're talking about, he's gesturing wildly, face animated. Honk says something, and he doubles over laughing. Why is everything he does so extra? He frowns and looks down, pulling the red penny over his head. I don't know, Pidge. I'm not sure I can. Pidge snorts, crossing their arms over his chest. What's this? Keith Kagani is turning down the challenge? What gives, man? He shrugs. I'm not exactly good at the whole seeking thing. I think I'll just stick to chasing. Pidge bumps his hip with their own. Come on, Keith. I saw you during your sea practice. You're good for someone who's never played before. He flipped me onto my back, Pidge. I didn't get the snitch once. Pidge waves him off. Yeah, but that's just Lance. He's a show-off. Besides, in the game, he has to get caught. Otherwise, the game won't end. If it goes on for too long, we just handicap him and then it'll be easy. Why do you want me to do it? There were others who tried seeking. They did better than that. Only because Lance let them do better. He actually had to try with you. He's been insufferably cocky today, and he's been nasty. So please, Keith, put him in the dirt. Keith raised an eyebrow, looking at him curiously. A small smirk tugged his lips. You've been bragging about me, haven't you? Yeah, duh. I know you make a better secret than anyone we have now, and you can prove it by catching Lance. It won't go easy if it's you, because of his stupid vendetta or whatever. Keith humps, looking over their shoulder once again to where Lance is standing. He's leaning on Hunk, gesturing wildly, looks proud of himself, but Keith thinks that might just be his default setting. You can tell me you don't want to wipe that smirk off his face, Pidge says, glancing up at him, and no one grinned. Keith lets his eyes roam over Lance's face, all sharp lines and angles, softened by laughed lines and crinkled eyes. Objectively, he's attractive. Extremely so. It's a shame his personality is terribly obnoxious. Keith almost feels sorry for whoever gets stuck with him as a soulmate. He bets it would be exhausting. Yeah, he says, eyes turning to Pidge. Yeah. Good. Pidge nods, handing him a broom. But how am I supposed to get past him? He's actually good at this, and I've never done it. Pidge pats him on the shoulder. You're creative and stubborn, and I have faith in you. Besides, like I said, he has to get caught, just to convince of his show-off moments. As per what is apparently routine, they end the practice with a scrimmage. The experienced players played a short 5-minute game to show everyone how it looks before they split everyone into 2 teams. A lot of the veteran players are reefing the match to give the newer players a chance to try. Laura and Corinne are acting as team captains to give advice and keep their teams subbing out so everyone has a chance to play. And Lance, of course, is Snitch. When he joins the team on their end of the sideline, Laura hands him the white headband, offers him a smile. I assume you'll be playing Chaser until the Snitch is released. Keith nods, taking the headband and slipping it onto his head. Yeah, thanks. You're also fast, so I have a new start. Wait, what? She gets in the shop. To the hoops! Go! He looks back over his shoulder at her as she pushes. What'd I do? When the whistle blows, just run as fast as you can, pick up the quaffle, and hopefully score before they have a chance to set up the defenses. She doesn't really give him a chance to argue. She just shoves him up toward the hoops and goes back to the rest of the team gathered on the sidelines. He takes up his place in the line of players at the hoops, putting his broom on the ground between his legs and kneeling over it. 4 balls are lined up along the center line, and he can see the beaters lining themselves up with the bludgers. He positions up at the center, directly in line for the quaffle. Pidge stands at the edge of the pitch, opposite from the teams. Lance bounces on his toes next to Pidge, looking over the pitch. Blue team, are you ready? There's a cheer from the other team, led most of the crowd. Red team, are you ready? People around him let half-hearted cheers, and Laura practically screamed for the silence. Brooms down. Everyone sells the ear sides, waiting for the whistle. Ready. Keith puts his weight on the balls of the team. One hand gripping his broom, he feels the tension in his muscles, cold like a city. Broom's up! The whistle blows and he's sprinting, eyes locked on the quaffle at the center field. He gets there first, bending over to grab it as he sprints past. As soon as he picks it up, he has to leap over the chaser from the blue side, who got there right after he did. Teams clash, beaters picking up what balls they can and immediately backtracking. He doesn't take time to see what team managed to get the bludger control. He just sprints past the line of blue players, and before they have a chance to backtrack and recover, he's one-on-one with the keeper. He feels a little bad for him. He's obviously new and wasn't expecting to be face-to-face with a rampaging chaser less than a minute into the game. All it takes is an easy feint in one direction, a lunge to the other, a throw, and the quaffle sails through the shortest hoop. The goal ref throws up her hands and pitch whistle blows. Keith skids to stop with a couple of hoops and turns back to his team, grinning. Allura is letting out loud whoops from the other end of the pitch. He only makes it a few more steps towards his side of the pitch, and he's hit by a bludger. Right. In all the adrenaline, he kind of forgot about the beaters, and the fact that they can still tag him out after he scores a goal. He lets the broom out from his legs and holds up his hands before jogging back to his hoops. The game is admittedly very fun and surprisingly fast-paced. There's a lot going on. Sometimes Keith will get so focused on weaving past other chases that he'll forget about the beaters. Sometimes he's so focused on avoiding the beaters and dodging the bludgers that an opposing chaser will take the quaffle from him. There's a lot to pay attention to, but he finds himself having fun. He's also surprisingly good at it, naturally so. You can see he's picking it up faster than some of the other players who still fumble with passes and throws, and who hesitate unsure what to do. He's always been good at sports, but they've always bored him. Quidditch, he thinks, might be the exception, and he'll never tell Pidge, but the fact that they play is a good incentive to stick around. He's so into the game, focused on watching and waiting for his next turn to go in, and that he's surprised with Laura suddenly handing him a yellow headband. He blinks at it, then looks up at Laura. He's grinning. "It's showtime," she says, giving him a small wink and a laugh. He glances past to her where Lance is jumping up and down across the pitch. He's standing next to Hunk, who is watching the gameplay intensely. As the head ref, Pidge has been on the field, moving the clock of play. Lance is stretching when he notices Keith looking. He grins, cocking his head to the side and flexing for a moment before shooting him finger guns. Keith frowns, snatching the headband from Laura and handing her the white one had been wearing. He's going down. Laura grins, clapping him on the shoulder. "That's the spirit. Remember, take advantage of his ego." Keith gives her a weird smile. He had said something similar. "Is that just well-known Lance thing?" Laura shrugs. "It's just well-known snitch thing. They're notorious show-offs." Keith snorts. "I can see how Lance fits it." Laura laughs at that, clapping him on the shoulder again. "Too true, but just so you know, he's actually not that bad once you get to know him." "I'll believe it when I see it." "So, you're going to stick around?" "I didn't. That's not... It'll be nice to have you around, Keith," she says, eyes simple. "Now get ready." Hunk's about to release Lance. Keith grabs a broom, puts it between his legs, and narrows his gaze in on Hunk. He's looking down at the stopwatch in his hand, the other hand held up in the air. The snitch will be released in 5, 4, 3. He counts down with his fingers. Boys carrying across the pitch. A few of the players stop the game to watch, letting the blue team slip past in the score. As far as Keith can tell, the score is pretty even. 2, 1. The snitch is loose. He throws his head down. Lance skips forward a few steps, stopping his arms held out wide as he glances. Between Keith and the blue team seeker, both of them are running toward him, weaving through the players on the field. Keith lets the other seeker get ahead of him, and he dives straight for Lance, who easily holds him aside and pulls the broom out. The guy grunts, holding up his hand as he runs back to his hoops, and Lance turns to face Keith. "So, we meet again." He goes up on one foot, bringing his other knee and holding his hands high in the air in what Keith thinks is supposed to be a mockery of some martial arts form. "Come at me, mullet!" And Keith does, only to be thrown to the side and tagged out by a bludger. He signs, jogging back to his hoop before he gets in his broom and tries again. Okay. Alright guys, hopefully you're not gonna see some kind of noises right there, because you're not gonna see me saying much of a noise or too loud, and you can't understand me because there are lots of people are there going to just get on with it and just go all the way, and I kind of really hated to say it, but no, let's continue. His next few tries are just as unsuccessful. He thinks it might work to take advantage of the other seeker capturing Lance's attention, seeking the grab from behind. Lance is too experienced fighting off 2 seekers at once, and Keith has no idea what he's doing. He's just winging it as he goes. He dives for openings he sees. He tries to figure out what seems right in the moment, but Lance is always there to stop him. He dances away with his ass, held out too far from Keith to reach around him. His hands are on Keith's shoulders, his arms holding off. At one point, he even grabs Keith's broom and starts to spin him around, forcing Keith to hold onto it with both ends to keep from losing it. He just ends up being tagged out by Bludger. Soon as he finds out, seeking with another Seeker in play and beaters there to stop him is an entirely new level of difficulty. And to that makes Lance's uncanny ability to just know exactly where he and the other Seeker are all time. Not to mention the beaters that help him and Keith can't sneak up on him. Can't surprise him. And Lance knows a surprising amount of defensive maneuvers and flips and other things that makes it impossible for Keith to simply bully into him. And just to top it off, Lance does it all with that infuriating smirk and constant stream of taunting comments. When he starts getting tired and frustrated, Allura calls him back, putting in another Seeker to give him a break. He argues that he doesn't need a rest, but Allura is firm and leaves no room for argument. So Keith stands on the sidelines, pouting as he watches Lance easily bat away any and all advances. Normally, he'd be handicapped by now, Allura says, suddenly at his side. But I think Pidge and Hunk want this game to continue a little longer to give everyone a better feel for it. Keith comes, only happy and attention as he watches Lance, looking for any sign of weakness. His arms are crossed over his chest, fingers tapping at his arm. He leans on one leg, other foot tapping. He really wants to go back in. He really wants to be the one to catch his snitch. He gets his chance when the other Seeker starts dragging her feet, her face twisted in frustration as she breathes heavily and jogs back to the hoops for what feels like the 100th time. Cassie, come back in, Allura calls, waving the Seeker to silence. As she runs over, Allura puts a hand on Keith's shoulder. I'm gonna put you back in. I know how frustrating Lance can be, but he's trying to goad you. He knows it'll make you sloppy. Just try to be patient. The opportunity will present itself. Patience yields focus. Keith starts, jerking to look at her as Cassie hands him the yellow handband. He stares at her, brow pinched. What? She asked, raising one delicate eyebrow. Where did you hear that? He asked slowly, slipping the headband onto his head. Hear what? Patience yields focus. Her confusion clears, and suddenly she smiled this soft, barely dare smile. A friend of mine says a lot. I like it. It keeps me grounded. Keith nods. Me too. My brother tells me that sometimes. It's a good saying. More people should know it. Yeah, I agree. His eyes roll over her arms, but he doesn't see any marks. Nothing overly obvious anyway, and he suddenly feels heat creeping up his neck. He's invading her privacy by so obviously looking for her muscle marks, and he hopes she hadn't noticed. He wants to ask more questions. He's never heard anyone besides Shira say that, but that doesn't mean people don't. After all, Shira had to have gotten it from somewhere. It's probably just a coincidence. Besides, right now, he has snitch to catch. His next few tries are about as successful as his first. Lance flips him onto his back, then spins him around so a beater can hit him. Lance takes his broom from him and tosses it a little ways away. All while he grins at him. He can feel an itch beneath his skin. His heart hammers his chest, adrenaline pumping through his veins as his frustration threatens to choke him. He wants to think that he'd be this frustrated if it was any other snitch, but he can't shake the feeling that it's the fact that it's Lance. After he runs back to his hoops for the 5th time in a row, he stops to just close his eyes and breathe. Breathe and try to steady his heart rate. Calm down the raging fire in his chest. Patience yields focus. The voice in his head that's always sounded like Shiro now has the lighter, more feminine overtones of Allura's voice mixed in. He grips his right hand tight, letting his fingertips trail over his palm, where a soulmate has marked him beneath his gloves, just like he always marks him. Every day, no matter what, and it's in those brief daily moments that he feels everything melt around him, his entire being paying attention to the feeling of those words melding into his flesh, pouring emotions fluttering through his chest, with a single-minded focus unlike anything he's ever experienced. A strange calm settles over him, and he hates that he had to resort to thinking about his soulmate to calm him. But it always works. No matter what, it always works. He doesn't want to dwell on that. Instead, he opens his eyes and focuses on Lance. An odd sense of calm clarity tingles across his limbs as he watches him, watches for anything he can use. Any opening, any opportunity. He sees Lance's mannerisms, things about the way he defends, thinks about his reaction to surprises, his ways of dodging. Lance's eyes are on the other seeker, who is currently running back to him. He takes up his usual pose, ass out and hands reaching out to hold the other seeker's shoulders to keep him at bay. And suddenly, Keith is sprinting. The idea is only half formed, but he doesn't even care. He's rolling with it. Lance sees him coming, glancing over his shoulder at his approach. Keith isn't sure how he always seems to be aware of where the seekers are even with his back turned. But he doesn't care. Sees the moment Lance's smile drops, the moment he realizes that Keith is charging at his back at full speed. A quick glance around tells him that enemy beaters aren't in a position to stop him. Lance turns back to the blue team seeker. All playfulness gone as he quickly rips their broom out from them and throws it aside. The seeker backs away, and Lance is spinning around to face Keith, but Keith is already there, and he's not even stopping. Doesn't slow his momentum at all. Before he hits him, Keith drops down, stretching out a leg to go into a sloppy but effective slide. Lance has barely managed to turn around, already starting to take up his defensive niche position when Keith drops. His eyes widen further, mouth dropping open as he reacts exactly how Keith had hoped he would. He jumps and he jumps high, legs splaying out to the sides as Keith passes harmlessly under him. As he goes, he reaches up and grabs hold of the snitch, hearing the satisfying rip of Velcro. As his slide comes to a stop, Keith lays down on his back, holding the snitch up in the air. The whistle blows 3 times. He can't help the laugh that bubbles up his throat. He can't believe that worked. You can hear Lance sputtering somewhere nearby. What? How the... Hunk. Was that even legal? Looked like a clean grab to me, buddy. But he slide tackled me. I didn't, actually. Touch you, though. Keith says, tilting his head back to look up at Lance. He whips around to glare down at him. I bet you just think you're so cool, don't you, mullet? Keith can't help it. The grumpy saltiness in Lance's voice is too much. His lips quirk into a wide grin, and he can feel it crinkling in his eyes. I said so. Yeah. He didn't think it was possible, but Lance's expression pinches even more. His back straightens, lips pursing together, nose crinkling as a flush starts to spread across his cheeks. It's hilarious and oddly adorable, and Keith laughs, hand with the snitch falling to lay across his stomach. He can hear his team cheering somewhere across the pitch, but above that he hears Lance's mumble. Whatever, and then Lance is there, standing near his feet. He has one hand on his hip and he's scowling, but his other hand is held outstretched toward him. Keith stares at it, smile dropping to make way for bewilderment as he looks from the hand to Lance's face. He raises a questioning eyebrow. Lance rolls his eyes, scooping softly. I guess that was a good catch. Keith feels the ghost of a smile curving his lips, and he reaches out to take his hand. Lance pulls him roughly to his feet. His hand is warm in his own, very warm, which Keith supposes is to be expected when they've both been running around like they have. But there's a strange spark, a weird mind tingling where Keith's fingertips make contact with his skin. The palm of his right hand burns, even through the material of his sports gloves, an echoing fire radiating from his inner wrist. But then Lance lets go, and the feeling is instantly gone, leaving him to question whether he had ever been there at all. It was so strange, so brief, and it had to have been his imagination. There's no other explanation. Adrenaline does weird things. But you just caught me off guard. Now that I know you're a crafty little don't expect me to go easy on you. Lance is smirking again, but it's more good-natured than anything he's seen so far. He feels the tug at his own lips in response. I wouldn't dream of it. You probably know what kind of story here. As I understand that, first of all these noises over here, it annoys me the hell out of me. And second of all, it's just second of all, it's a really good chance. So I kind of get that far that he is failing every single time. And now, some kind of sort of thing, they have the quote, that one particular quote that Shiro told Keith every single time. And you know that one from the very beginning of Season 1 of Voltron. And it says, patience yields focus. And he applied that, and Shiro applied that to him. Patience yields focus. And he always had that himself in mind, and then he won. Finally got the snitch, and he did it. So, after all, Keith is a good seeker and grabbed a clean and it's a clean grab. So, yeah. But after all, it's just a practice. It's just practice. So, yeah. Keith ruled over Lance. Oh, poor Lance. Still got yourself some chance. Lance isn't upset because he got caught it. It's the snitch's job to get caught. A snitch should make it as difficult as possible to get caught. But in the end, game isn't over until he is. It's inevitable. It has to happen every game. Every time he snitched a game, he's been caught eventually in one way or other. Fact of life. So that's not why he's upset. He's upset because Keith caught him. Well, upset is a strong word. He's not really upset. Can't say he didn't expect it. Despite his taunting, you could tell that Keith was the most impressive of the potential seekers. He kind of knew Keith would be the one to catch him, despite all his efforts to keep him at bay. Still, the guy could have at least waiting until he had been handicapped. Let him hold onto his pride a little bit. And it doesn't help that despite how much he wants to hate Keith for catching him, he can't help but admit, if only to himself, that it was a good play. It was the exact kind of creative, sneaky, and reckless cheese play that he would come up with himself. And if he pulled it off, probably better than Lance could have himself. Probably. He doesn't want to be impressed, yet here he is. Impressed by none other than Keith. And it's rude as So, no, he's not really upset, Percy. He's just salty. And to rub more salt in that flesh wound, his friends invited Keith to eat dinner with him. Again, just another thing he should expect. Keith is, after all, Pidge's close friend. And all of his other friends seem to really like the guy. Even Hunk seems to like him. And Hunk is a great judge of character. Still, Lance doesn't have to concede to giving him a chance just yet. He'll think about it. Maybe. And that's how he finds himself in a dining hall with his closest friends. They're sitting 3 on each side of the table, and he's on the end. Unfortunately, across from Keith. He does his best to ignore him, refusing to make eye contact or talk to him unless he has to. Instead, he turns sideways, deep in conversation with Hunk about whether or not pineapple should be allowed on pizza. That is, until Laura leans forward, elbows on the table to look around Pidge, into where Keith is sitting. So, Keith, she starts, and she was splendid eye. Since we just came from Quidditch practice, I feel like we're obligated to have the Hogwarts house conversation. Her sudden declaration was drawn to Hunk's attention, so Lance finds himself looking up, glancing sideways to Keith. The guy is sitting there, face blank, before turning to Pidge, one eyebrow raised. Pidge shrugs. The what Hogwarts house are you in conversation? You make it sound so serious. Keith, it is serious. Pidge deadpans, giving him a flat stare. Keith just shrugs. I hadn't really thought about it. Well, think about it now. Keith frowns, brow pinching and nose crinkling, and stares down his food. Lance refuses to admit that might be a little adorable. Okay, so maybe Keith can express something other than angry and grumpy. Who knew? I guess if I had to choose. Gryffindor? Lance gasps, maybe a little louder than he meant to, but he rolls with it. One hand clenched to his chest while the other grabs the table, holding him steady as he leans back. He glares at him, a small pout on his lips. What? He snaps, sounding weary and defensive. Lance finds himself smirking. I'm just surprised you have taste. He just looks confused. Hunk sighs, hand on his shoulder. Lance is the only one of us who identifies as a Gryffindor, he explains, sounding for all the world like an exasperated and disappointed mother. Rude. Lance throws his hands up in the air. That's because Gryffindor is obviously the best house. I mean, hello? All the main characters of the series are Gryffindors. Exactly, Pidge says, adjusting their glasses they grin at him. Annoyingly reckless kids who decide to do everything themselves instead of asking for help when they're up against the wizard equivalent of Hitler. They did it, though. Pidge crossed their arms over their chests. Everyone knows Gryffindors are just loud, obnoxious jocks and frat boys of Hogwarts. You're just jealous because we're the brave ones. Pidge screamed right. Thanks for proving my point. Ugh, looks to Keith, gesturing to Pidge. See what I had to deal with? Wait, you dealt with them for longer. How the hell did you deal with that so long? Keith shrugs, a smile tightening his lips as he leans back in his chair, arms crossed over his chest. Do you really think I had a choice? Lance looks away from him, eyes narrowing as he looks Pidge over. They're still grinning. You have a point. So, what houses are you guys in then? Keith asks. Hunk straightens, lifting two fingers in a peace sign as he smiles, tilting his head to the side. Puff puff, all the way. Same here, Laura says, and she and Hunk high-five across the table. I'm a Ravenclaw, Corin says, tugging on his collar with one hand while his other twirls the ends of the mustache. Wit beyond measure is a man's greatest treasure. You know, I'm Ravenclaw too, Pidge says, and Lance snorts. He leans forward, one hand flat on the table, while the other points at them. He narrows his eyes. I'm pretty sure you're a Slytherin. Pidge just shrugs. Grin turning mischievous. It's debatable. I'm fine with either, really. Keith snorts. Nerds. At that, Lance starts leaning back in his seat with his mouth hanging open. Keith looks at him, one eyebrow raised, and Lance can feel his face breaking out to the white grin as he laughs. Keith, my man, my dude. He holds a fist out over the table. Keith stares at it for a moment, before looking up to meet his eyes. His face is mostly blank, but he can't quite hide the small smile there. Lance can see it reflected in his eyes. Lifts a hand and obligingly bumps their fists. The conversation shifts, but Lance hasn't forgotten or forgiven the slight on his honor in his house. He subtly shreds a napkin, rolling the pieces into tiny balls. He catches Keith's eye when the guy gives him a curious look. He just winks. He passes half of his stash across the table, and before Keith can question him, he started flicking the balls down the table. When he lands one in Corin's cup, he throws up a hand. 10 points to Gryffindor. Game starts then. They arrange 3 cups at both ends of the group and improvise a ridiculous version of beer pong. Keith and Lance try to score on the cups on the other side of Flora and Corin, while trying to defend them while trying to score on the cups next to Keith and Lance. Hunk and Pidge referee and commentate in overly animated announcer voices. Every time they score, Lance and Keith high-five, declaring points for their honor as Gryffindors. Lance is surprised when he finds Keith smiling and laughing with him at his jokes and his antics. Whenever he and Keith exchange looks, a mischievous glint in the other's eyes and a smirk on his lips, Lance feels a weird clench in his chest. They argue and insult each other when they miss a throw or fail a block, but it lacks any real heat. They end up winning the impromptu game, as Lance watches Keith wrap an arm around Pidge's neck, rubbing their hair with his knuckles and ignoring their screaming protest. Lance finds himself thinking that maybe, just maybe, Keith isn't so bad for all. Maybe. It's not until he's back in his dorm and peeling off his snitch socks and that he realizes that he hasn't thought about his homework all day. He blames Keith. So, how did it go? Fine. What? That's seriously all I get? What more do you want? Tell me how it was. Did you have fun? Do you like Pidge's friends? Give me something to go on, or I'll come over there and sit on you till you do. Cheryl, I'm not 10 anymore. That doesn't work. Did you really want to risk that? I can't lock the door. You gave me a key. Fair enough. It was more fun than I thought it would be. And most of the Pidge friends are cool. Most of them? Remember that one guy who spilled my smoothie on me on the first day of classes? Oh no. Yeah, he's one of them. Keith, did you play nice? Will you always assume I won't? Because I know you. How did it go? He's just as insufferable as I thought he was. Was he an ass to you? Yes. Why is that a question? He was, but I guess he's not so bad. Not totally, anyway. I guess I can give him a chance for Pidge's sake. Aww, my baby's bro's going up and being mature. Stop. I'm so proud of you. Stop. So do you think you'll keep going? Yeah, I think I will. You should join us at some point. I think that can be arranged. If anything, I can go to cheer on my baby bro. Do you think they sell air horns and pom-poms at Walmart? Why are you like this? Hey, I'm at home right now, and that's the end of the second chapter of the marks we made. So, how are you guys so far? Well, they start off the practice, the Quidditch practice. Well, basically, it's a Harry Potter related sports game, and probably doing so well. And then when Keith shows up, Lance just going bananas, and they introduce how to play the game. And man, Lance is always a certified snitch, and then Keith is the seeker. And then Keith tries to catch the Lance, and unfortunately he failed, and he let everybody else to try to catch Keith. He's really frustrated. And when it comes to the practice, the game comes by and it goes on for, I don't know, for God knows how long. And Keith had found himself in mind, and he thinks about the quote of Patient Seal's focus, and it worked. And it worked. Keith finally grabbed the golden snitch, and it's a clean grab. So, yeah, that ends the game, and yeah, and at the end, Keith and Lance end up going along with each other. So nice. And then probably up texting the sheriff that might as well Keith might as well go along with Lance, even if it just to think about it. Their soul marks, they still kept running on through their arms or whatnot. Who knew about the soulmate? Because that soulmate could be each other. Lance has his soulmate, and so does Keith, and they probably ended up together because they're each other's soulmate. Okay, we're gonna get through to the next chapter next time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you the next chapter when I see you. Okay, guys. Goodbye, everybody.